Hello and welcome back to Read Becca. We're here on this dark, overcast, and drizzly day for the end of the year book tag. It seems like the appropriate ambiance for looking forward to the last few weeks of the year. I have been putting this off interminably a bit for the past couple weeks because I'm feeling weird. I'm in a weird headspace about looking forward to the last little bits of the year and next year. And so I kept putting this off, and I decided to finally do it and just share my indecisive vibes, I guess, with you all. So we're gonna do it anyway. I like bookending the year with this, and hopefully this will maybe spur some excitement in the last couple weeks for me, because my brain just is done with plans, I think, for the year. I think we're exhausted with planning and organizing things. So it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey. Number one, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? So I don't really start things and just like set them down or fail to progress on them. I make active, conscious decisions about making progress in books if they're stagnating. So the one that has been stagnating that I'm doing that for, I would say, is my best answer for this, and that is The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa Grattan. So I'm not disliking this, but this is a big chunky book. It's over 500 pages. And I've been reading it since the start of September, so it's been in progress for about 2 months. I'm over halfway and I'm off work this week, so we are making some serious progress on this. So if it's not finished within the next week or two, I would be very surprised. There's no likelihood that this is going to continue on through the end of the year, though I definitely will have it finished. So that is my good answer for that one. I would say, all of my books for Nonfiction November are obvious answers as well. I've got my readathon November 2022 coming up, so all my books planned for that. I haven't put out my announcement for the TBR that I've got set up yet, but I will be doing that shortly. So yeah, I've got lots of books, probably over 15 books planned that I could tell you today I intend to read within the next 2 months. Then number two is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not really. I don't read terribly seasonally. I do have a couple of like fall romances that are potential options coming up in the next month. I just finished Dandelion Wine though, and I think that book by Ray Bradbury is probably the best fit here because it takes place over a summer and follows two boys' experience over this kind of encapsulated summer. And it starts with them feeling the freedom of being out on break and everything. And then as it winds down, it really goes into those fall vibes and gets a little bit spooky. And it definitely captures that summer is coming to an end toward the end of that book. And so I think that was the perfect vibe. Number three, sorry, I'm skipping over prompts here. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? So I'm not really waiting for a new release. I would say the last thing that was on my radar that had yet to come out is out today, I believe, as this is posted, and that is Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. And this is Maxwell's second book. I really enjoyed the first book, and this one is kind of a companion novel in the same world, or universe, I should say, because this is science fiction, and it's a sci-fi male-male romance. So I really enjoyed the first one. I think that one was a pretty even balance between sci-fi and romance, and from what I've heard, this one tips even further into more sci-fi and less romance. So it seems like this is kind of going to be more of a science fiction proper. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the first book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. So prompt number 4 is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Now, I have 2 books here, but they really signify my 3. So the first one is The Three Musketeers. And this is a chunky book. I don't actually want to read this copy because it's tiny text with like no margin space. So it's going to be kind of miserable to read this big chunky book like that. So I've been looking for an audiobook because my library does not have this on audio. So I know that means I'm going to have to get it on LibriVox, or YouTube, I'm sure has many copies, but I have to sift through and find what a good audiobook is and something that's unabridged to read through this. And that has just presented too much of a barrier for me to overcome to actually get to it. So this is one I absolutely have to get to this year. I desperately need to get to this one because it's on my bucket list book tag for the year. I had 3 books picked out for that, and one of them is in progress for my nonfiction November reading. So yeah, that one definitely. Then I have Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, as well as Locklands, the 3rd book in this trilogy. So this series, I just read the first book as a reread last month in October, and I love this series. I love the first book of the series. I haven't read this one yet, so I reread the first. I wanted to go into the second one, and I'm hoping to read the 3rd by the end of the year. So I want to finish up this trilogy in 2022 because Locklands just came out. It will be up and eligible for prizes next year, so I really want to have that one read because this is probably an all-time favorite series if it keeps up like the first book. So those are my specific book plans. Number 5, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? So I go into every book thinking it could be a new favorite. I don't have like low expectations of the books that I read. If I did, I probably wouldn't pick them up most of the time. There are some where I go in with low expectations, where I don't expect like a new fave because it's just gonna be like brain candy, you know, that sort of thing. But that's a very, very rarity. So every book I pick up could be a new favorite. Would that shock me? No, because I really like the books I read. Yeah, I think I've only had 3 or 4 new favorites this year though, so I feel like that has been pretty low for the year. So I would really be excited if I do get a new favorite in the last couple weeks of the year. And the last prompt here is, have you already started making reading plans for next year? Weirdly, I have not. So normally I'm big into like getting excited about the next year and planning out what my goals for the next year are. And I have not been able to make any goals for next year. So 2023 is looking wide open right now. Everything that I have thought of for what I want to target as a goal is something that I have done before and has been a total failure for me because it's not the type of reader I am. So I'm trying really hard to maybe rethink or come up with new ideas how to approach targeting those areas, because they're things that are counter to the type of reader that I am, or I just kind of read all over the place really. And that's the reason I want to target them, because they're things that get kind of slipped by the wayside. And that's why it's failed for me in the past. But I do want to target these things. And so every time I've set up certain goals to do these specific things, those have not worked. So I need to come up with an idea for them. And that's the only thing I've been thinking of for goals next year. I don't have a lot of specific things that I have not done before that I really want to make a challenge for myself to do, because I just am reading so much and enjoying so much of what I'm reading that now it's a struggle to know what really I want to set out as my challenges. So yeah, that's a little of a downer to end on. But I'm hoping that I will come up with some good ideas in the next couple months for what I want to target and challenge myself with in the next year. So hopefully 2023 will be an exciting year, regardless of whether I make any actual goals or plans. I'm sure I will still be reading. So that's the exciting part, I guess. That's all I have for you all today on the end of the year book tag. Do you have any concrete plans for 2023? And what specific goals do you think I should have on my list? I think the one I'm struggling with the most is how to tackle series and sequels. So if you have good ideas for that, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching.